And that looks like we're live. Why does it choose the exact moment that I'm going to start speaking for some phlegm to flag up my throat, honestly? So, often live again after not letting my laptop derail me this time. Hi Joel, how are you, buddy? I was going to go live on Tuesday night, and just as I switched on my laptop, it went, oh, yeah, no, we have to do a restart. This will take a while. Venice Blue, when was I with One Nation? A lot of people have been with One Nation. I saw the statistics. Anthony Green, the ABC election analyst, said trivia because another elected One Nation senator has resigned from One Nation and declared himself to be an independent. He said over the years, 30 people have been elected under the One Nation banner. 6 of them are still in the party, and the vast majority of them split from the party while still serving, and only a single One Nation representative has ever been re-elected. And by the way, hello, Venice and Batman. Venice, I think Pauline's hair's reflecting her mood, getting more fiery every day. Well, I actually want to look up that Anthony Green tweet because it's a fascinating set of numbers. Let me just find it because it really is a fascinating set of numbers. So yeah, it's in total 30 MPs had been elected to represent One Nation. Only 6 of them are still members of the party. 19 out of the 30 resigned from One Nation in their first term. 2 were disqualified in their first term. Only 3 lasted long enough to face re-election. 2 were defeated, and only 1 of them has ever been re-elected. That's a real run, isn't it? That's quite the track record there. Oh, dude, that Game of Frost. That getting suspended on Twitter is bullshit. It happens. I hope your internet settles down anyway, mate. Hope things are okay generally. I mean, so many trolls have worked out that Twitter's reporting system is completely fucking broken. It's so easy to game. They just bait people, and when the person says "fuck off," they report the tweet and get the person suspended. It's ridiculous. Batman, I would say that does include Steve Dixon. Oh, that's right. No, that's right. Steve Dixon wasn't elected One Nation. He was elected LNP and defected. I reckon it does, because that would be why the numbers are a bit screwy. But maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. I'm honestly not completely sure. Oh, it's quite a windy and possibly stormy night here in Melbourne. At the moment, it's only wind. I don't think the laptop mic will pick that up. If it starts raining seriously, you might hear it. But yeah, there's quite the wind, and apparently we're going to get some shitty weather for the weekend, but that's okay. I never go outside anyway, you know, except to go to the shop. Well, obviously to go to work. Yeah. Yeah, David, I heard some bits of Tassie were looking at flooding. I saw some reference to that. They're like rising rivers and a big storm coming, and some places were worried about flooding. I don't know. No. Wild old weather. I don't think it's going to be too severe here. Just sort of cold and wet. Batman, you get Anthony Green's breakdown of One Nation workers. He's fascinating. For anyone outside Australia or anyone in Australia who doesn't pay attention on election nights, yeah, Anthony Green is an interesting guy. I don't know if other countries have someone like him. Hello, Abigail. How are you? Yeah, just the way that he's like the ABC's election dude, and he's so impartial and so on the money, and he never rushes to make partisan calls about things. So basically, when he calls an election, it's really safe to say he's calling the correct result because he's very cautious about it. Like when you watch, particularly if you watch the commercial networks, the people they have on are partisan hacks, and they'll be, really early in the night, I'm calling it, this is what's happening, I'm calling it. And Anthony Green won't call it until he's got solid numbers. And you're right, David, he knows so much, and he makes elections interesting because he'll just really take apart the numbers. He'll explain to you why a number looks like that. Like if you get early returns from somewhere that seem to be swaying heavily one way, and he just goes, oh, I've got a thing from a report from someone that the first ballot boxes they've counted from one district where that district always votes this way, but the overall seat tends to vote differently. So don't pay too much attention to that. Like he knows so much. His knowledge is encyclopedic. Hey, Charlie, how's it going? Yeah, Patman, I reckon you're right. Steve Dixon's not listed as being elected for One Nation because he was elected for the LNP and then defected. But again, I don't think he lasted, did he? Like he went at the next election. Man, it's just like the cycle of Pauline Hanson is just rinse and repeat. She says her horrible, obnoxious shit to get into the public eye. Some opportunistic types decide to latch onto her. And then lo and behold, her ego and their ego, and they all seem to be scammers, all results in it collapsing. It's just like when I made a video about when it was obvious that One Nation imploding again, that the dude who just defected was going to resign. And it's just like, well, you see, it's like Clive Palmer's attempt to do. It's like, wow, when you try and get a group of disparate, angry extremists together, they don't play well together. Like, who knew? Ugh. As a musical aviator, a friend of yours dropped a link about volunteering to run electoral booths for the federal election. Oh, there you go. Work for the Australian Electoral Commission. Oi there, Jahatma. How's it going? Yes, I've I've got a job as I told true story on socials today, and people on Facebook seem to find it hilarious. And it's true. Today, one of my co-workers said, "I really appreciate the calm way you handle things." Because the project I'm working on can be a bit frenetic, and he said, "Oh, I really appreciate the calm way you handle things." I thought, okay, anyone who knows my internet persona would find that really humorous, and it turns out they do. Sorry. See, I don't know that story, Jeff. You're saying Palmer cut off water and electricity to people who bought villas off you. Oh, Pat, you're saying a few people were re-elected as independents. So that's the thing. Nobody seems to last a term as a One Nation thing. The 19 out of 30 didn't see out a term as a One Nation thing. They either resigned or they were forced out. It's wild. And that's the thing, David. When when you Clive Palmer's party, Pauline Hanson's party, is that sort of narcissism is not a good sign. Oh, remember, that's a current court case, you're saying. Oh, yeah, Palmer has a few problems, doesn't he? Like having nasty little fascist trolls running his social media accounts. But oh, he's the character. That's what it's all about. He's the character. Oh wait, I might just mention on Facebook that I'm doing this. I can join my live stream on YouTube. And we'll put a pretty background on it. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll put a comment on it. It's like, I don't know if that still works. Like, Facebook are so mad on you not going to other sites. Hey, Emperor Sihat, we're all just chilling. Sorry, Pat, you're looking at all the stats. 11 people were from the One Nation mob were elected at the Queensland state election, and they all resigned. Yeah, it's just crazy. Hey, Toby. Oh, we all love Celtic King too. Tell him we're all thinking of him. Who's definitely saying angry, unhinged crackpots? I mean, just look at the Trump administration. Trump's still there, but the turnover in his staff is mind-boggling. Like, there's no precedent for it. Just people going left, right, and center, and not to mention people facing criminal charges. That whole thing, it's so surreal. You look at it and go, you've got bloody Jordan Peterson saying postmodernists and feminists are destroying Western civilization. I feel really sure that Trump and his cronies are destroying Western civilization. They're undermining every institution that exists, leaving only room for narcissism and bastardry. Hatner, I saw that it was likely that Trump's former lawyer Cohen was full on cooperating with the investigation. That'd be funny. Live log. I got NBN about 12 months ago, and I'm one of the people who won the NBN lottery. Because I was getting forced onto it, which I wasn't happy about. I had like a cable internet, and I was worried they were going to they would be so bloody minded as to rip the cable out and connect me via copper, but they didn't, and they put in all the new stuff, and it's better, it's faster. So I feel like I won the NBN lottery because I was really worried it would be worse, but it's much better than it used to be. Emperor Seeger, no, it's almost definite that Pence would become president if Trump's impeached. Because I just don't think Pence is tied up in all the shit. Live log. Well, you may know the technology better than me. I thought the cable was fiber. It's fiber optic cable. You may well know the technology better than me, but that's it. So yeah, because see, I had Foxtel for years, so I had a cable for Foxtel, and I had just internet running through that. And in the last place I lived in, it was pretty fast download. And we moved a bit over a year ago, and we moved a bit over a year ago, and the internet wasn't as good at this new location. We then switched to NBN, and it was better. A live log, and in lieu of any better information, I will take your word for it that HFC's copper. That isn't what I thought, but then again, no, live log. It's not the cable to get free to air. It's for Foxtel. I'm pretty sure it's fiber optic cable. Oh yeah, Charlie, that really big ice bust in Roma. That was God, how many kilograms of meth was that? I did see that on the news, and it was fairly over the top. We do get those big busts occasionally, and it was yeah, it's in like a regional area, so like a massive influx of meth into a regional area really be a problem. Live log, I shall defer to your knowledge because I certainly don't know any better. I hadn't looked that deeply into the technology. I just know it's a cable I've always had. So, Charlie, your boyfriend thinks he knows the kingpin. Oh my God. That's a real claim to fame. I like that. Was it Toby? You got a package from the US? Oh, Christian books you don't remember ordering. That's what happens, Toby, when you do drunk signups on evangelical sites. Hi, Tara. Hope you enjoyed your chicken pie. I had burger, my favorite burger, mushroom and truffle burger. Jason, I think I'll stick with porn party. Now the sex party changed their name to try and be more respectable. Yeah, I think I'll start a pro porn party. Don't you love, yeah, like Barnaby writing a book, Fear and Loathing in New England. But he keeps saying this stuff about, oh, my privacy, my privacy. Now I'm getting paid $150,000 to do an interview. My privacy, my privacy. Oh, now I'm writing a book. Fuck that guy, honestly. I don't think I'd appeal to the incels very much, even if I was promoting porn. I think when I made it very clear what I thought of them, I'd lose their support rather quickly. They weren't friends. They were just acquaintances. He was known. He was known to the possible drug kingpin. Speaking of knowing criminals, where I went to college, that's where I met Aidy. We were at college together. I went to college in Bathurst in New South Wales, west of Sydney. And there's a prison in Bathurst. And I did a theatre degree. And we did a performance of one of our plays in the prison to give thrills to the prisoners, give them something different, which they really appreciated. And it was really weird because it was a medieval Italian commedia dell'arte play called The Imaginary Invalid. It was a funny play, but it was a really weird thing to do in prison. But anyway, we're performing in prison, all the prisoners there, and there was guys I went to school with in the audience. So I caught up with them afterwards. They'd got done for armed robbery. Yeah, Jason, Barnaby has hung around for. Barnaby is living proof that the idea that people advance in politics based on merit is fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's got nothing to do with merit. It's mostly a boys' club, and it's just how long you've been around and what sort of contacts you make. Log, what's my opinion of Amazon arrival to Australia and Kaufland stores? I don't know what Kaufland stores are, for a start. And I'm not that interested in Amazon. I don't really buy stuff off Amazon. Oh, Jason, what do I think Barnaby's worst idea? Probably his absolute worst was campaigning against the HPV vaccine. A vaccine against a sexually transmitted infection which can cause cancer, and as particularly the vaccine was aimed at young women, and he campaigned against it because, well, it promotes promiscuity. If they know they're less likely to freaking die, or they'll have sex more. And that's actually wanting to prevent a cancer vaccination because you think it promotes promiscuity. You have to be complete fucking garbage to say that. Jason, giving Cups AIDS. No, I think it was herpes, wasn't it? His plan was to give Murray River Cup herpes. Toby, have you ever done the moonwalk? No, I'm very white and completely lacking in coordination, dexterity, and dance moves. Aidy, I have not heard from for a little while, so I hope he's okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, we had the news that the thing that was wrong with his legs was not cellulitis. It was something worse and something incurable, which sucks. So I hope he's going to get better. Love, do I agree with making weed legal? Short answer, yes. Slightly longer answer is it's a somewhat complicated process to make it legal, but the fact that it's so much less dangerous than alcohol, for instance, it is an absolute farce that weed's illegal. It doesn't make any sense. So, Shatner, can I do the shoulder dance? 80s. We can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. Patman, no, he's not on medical marijuana. I'm not sure if that is something that would help in his current thing. It might, because there's a pain element, and medical marijuana does help with some forms of pain. Live Vlog, why do we want to be a drugging nation? Dude, you're talking scare tactics. It's basically marijuana is less dangerous than alcohol any way you measure it. Alcohol kills people physically, like just with disease. Alcohol causes violence that weed really doesn't. And alcohol causes a significant number of road deaths. It makes no sense that alcohol's legal and weed isn't. I mean, for me, when I think about it, the biggest thing, if weed was to be legal, would be a proper way to measure someone being affected by weed when they're driving. Because the current thing they do with the RBTs is bullshit. Like if you're doing alcohol test, like you blow the thing and it can measure your blood alcohol content, but their drug tests, literally all they do is measure that at some point in the recent past, you had drugs. There is no measurement of the level of impairment. And they take your license away because, like, oh, you tested positive for marijuana, which might mean that you had a joint 3 days ago. The drug testing at the moment for driving is absolute bullshit. So, Lovelog, you are correct. Alcohol is haram in Islam. And in a few other things. Some Orthodox Jewish sects ban alcohol. Some conservative Christian sects ban alcohol. But yes. You heard, if you chew heaps of gum, it doesn't come up for drinking. That sounds to me like something that you were told by someone who's been busted for drink driving, quite honestly. That doesn't seem plausible to me. Yeah, that's what I mean, David. The current drug testing for drivers is absolute bullshit. Doesn't measure impairment at all. Not it's just not what they measure, and that needs to change. Hey, Charlie, Mormons. Not only do they not drink alcohol, they don't drink caffeine. They don't have stimulants, which is a bit hard. Animal, did you see at the Tommy Robinson rally? Yes, you did. Waving my dick around and laughing at them. Okay, in particular, coffee does not fix hangovers, and whoever said that's a dirty liar should be stoned with rocks. Live vlog. The opinion of the Cronulla riots. Okay, here's a fun one for, I don't know, people with short attention spans, or if you're not Australian. The Cronulla riots was one of the most disgusting examples of racism in Australia's history. Pretty much the worst in modern history. What it was is there'd been some fights on Cronulla Beach, was in the south of Sydney, and is a super fucking white suburb. In our rather multicultural nation, Cronulla is, and the fucking Sutherland Shire is not very multicultural. It's very white. And because there's a train that goes to Cronulla, people from the suburbs would take the train to Cronulla. And there were some fights on the beach, particularly with some Lebanese youth or youth from that part of the world. Got in some fights on the beach, and there were stories of, they punched lifesavers. And look, physically harassing and attacking people who are trying to help you is just not fucking on. Whether it's lifesavers, ambulance, hospital staff, people who attack people who are there to help are shit, okay? But notably, Alan Jones, right-wing racist radio hack, whipped up the mob saying, we're going to take Cronulla back. It was just pure blatant racism. But I think he didn't expect what happened. And what happened is a large group of very loud, drunken, racist white people did gather on Cronulla Beach, and they started a full-scale riot. They started beating up the libs, and they did also attack ambulance staff who were there. Basically, it was one of the worst, most vile, disgusting episodes of racism that Australia has seen. And anybody who equivocates even slightly, anyone who says, oh, but, fuck them in the fucking neck with a fucking chainsaw. It was absolutely vile, disgusting, thuggish racism. Utterly disgusting. Anyone who was even remotely associated with it should be ashamed to their core, but they won't be because they're filthy fucking racist scum. It's absolutely despicable. And anyone who defends that in the slightest, anyone who equivocates at all is fucking garbage. Live vlog, you're Lebanese and love Australia. Look, most Lebanese people do. Most people come here because they want to be here. And Australia is much better for it. But it was, the Cronulla riots were beyond despicable. It was absolutely disgusting. And Alan Jones is absolutely he's not just a disgusting, filthy, racist hate monger. He's a fucking coward. Like he literally ran and hid when this thing that he'd spent a week whipping up blew out of control. He took a couple of weeks holiday. He took a couple of weeks holiday from radio because he didn't want to take the heat for this bullshit that he whipped out. Yes, Toby, I need an angry hug. Thank you. Yeah, right, Chatner. If we asked Indigenous Australians who should go back where they came from, the list might be long. Live vlog, I agree. We are equal citizens. So if you're a piece of shit, fuck you, no matter what your heritage is. And if you're a good person, fucking thumbs up, no matter what your heritage is. The idea that people with Anglo-Saxon or Central European heritage can dictate who and what is Australia is fucking ridiculous. And I think, oh, the African gang. That's, oh man, that was. I mean, the whole thing with the African gangs is bullshit. Okay, it's literally not true. The Murdoch conservative media and conservative politicians straight up lying. There are no gangs. Like there was, what was it called? The people basically fabricated. There were a bunch of dickheads talking big on Facebook, and they came up with a name. Oh god, I can't remember what it was. But for a while, it was everything. The conservative politicians and the Murdoch media outlets were straight up lying. They weren't exaggerating. They weren't painting things in negative light. They were straight up wholesale lying. Peter Dutton saying people in Melbourne are scared to go out. No, they fucking aren't, you muppet. And as for the overrepresentation in crime, the Conservatives also completely lied about the crime statistics. Besides, crime generally is going down and continues to go down in Victoria, Melbourne. I think the one that went up was possibly aggravated burglaries, which means like home invasions, a burglary when someone is home. But the crime statistics in and of themselves don't tell you the whole story. But they're all saying, oh, they're responsible for 15% of crime. No, if you believe the police crime statistics, population group that forms 0.1% of our population was represented in 1% of crimes. So yes, you can argue that statistically they're overrepresented by a factor of 10. But in terms of actual number of crimes, it was a ridiculously small number. And if you want to make judgments based on race, you are way more like 60% of crime is committed by white guys, people of white European heritage. So they're the dangerous ones. White men are the dangerous ones. So yeah, the whole talk about African gangs was blatant lies. No, live log, now you actually sound dumb as shit. You are saying absurdly stupid shit. And I'm on, what's my thought on cryptocurrency? The vast majority of them are nothing but a scam. And even the ones that aren't a blatant scam, they can't, like, it was meant to be a transactional currency. And the way it's gone with people speculating and like the value of Bitcoin going ridiculously high, you can't trade in it. It's become a speculative investment. And hey, look, if you want to go for a high risk speculative investment, knock yourself out. But the original idea that it would actually be a transactional currency is now impossible. Nobody's going to buy anything with Bitcoin when the value of the Bitcoin could go radically up or down overnight. So they've gone from their original idea of being an actual transactional currency to being this extremely volatile, extremely high risk speculative investment. Animal, if you pay utility bills with Bitcoin, that doesn't make any sense to me. Hey, Tendo, how are you going? Tara, did you make a comment about a relative shooting someone? I didn't see it. But that sounds interesting. You got a relative who shot someone. Oh my God, yes, David. The swastika flag being flown by Australian forces in Afghanistan. Yes, we're now finding out that Australian forces in Afghanistan are guilty of war crimes. And my goodness, the revelations are coming thick and fast about how they misbehaved. Animal, I'm fascinated by the idea of you paying your utility bills with Bitcoin, because the way the value fluctuates. I mean, like if you paid a utility bill with Bitcoin 2 years ago and then looked at the value today, you'd be like, oh my God, I paid $1 million for my utility bill 2 years ago. I don't get that at all. Live log. I did not hear about the NBA on board getting bonuses, but I do not have a high opinion of the NBN company. I had a bit of a rant a week or so ago when the idiot CEO just go, oh, it's like, the problem's not that we have a shitty service. The problem is people are using it. Some people use it a lot. And he went like gamers, they're quite heavy users. And it's like, fucking hell. Really? Really? The problem with the internet is people are using it. Like, you fucking Muppets. It's like, what the hell is that? Oh, Jason, you're right about the fake cryptocurrencies. Bloody shit popped up all the time. I mean, like, you even saw, do you notice one of the weirdest bits of the very weird sideshow of the Trump Kim shindig was Dennis Rodman being there, and Dennis Rodman doing TV appearances with Potcoin. You saw it there, a logo for a cryptocurrency inspired by pot called Potcoin, and because he was on all these TV networks wearing this fucking logo, the trading boom of Potcoin went like that, like such a scam. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We'd have no road toll if people didn't drive. Death sticks. Emperor Cigar, you want to buy some death sticks? You want to go home. You don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and reassess your life. I hope we go. Dogecoin, the one that was literally a joke. Dogecoin was a joke and end up, increasing in value by 1,000. There you go. I knew you'd want to go home and rethink your life, Emperor. Oh, Animal, almost certainly paid to wear the Potcoin shirt. I'd say beyond being paid, I would wager he had a stake in Potcoin, and when his TV appearance spiked the price, he sold a bunch of it. Absolutely. That him wearing that Potcoin shirt was such a fucking scam. But that's the thing. The stock market is nothing. Stocks generally are nothing but a scam. The original purpose of the stock exchange was to raise money to grow companies. It's like, a lot of people are familiar with the term IPO, initial public offering. It's where a company goes public for the first time and sells shares, raises money so the company can grow. That used to be all the stock exchange was meant to be. People raising money to start a company, and if the company was successful, the people who bought stock in that company would make a profit. And as the company was growing, if you still held the stock would be worth more, and you could sell the stock to someone else who hoped it would go higher. But at some point, it just fucking changed into a scam. It's just moving money around, and it's absolutely meaningless, and it's complete bullshit. Yes, death sticks. Emperor, the death sticks thing in the prequels was a pretty obvious anti-smoking thing. Yes, uh, and I agree. Not that I've ever smoked, but so many people I know have. And yes, smoking is very hard to quit. I mean, some of the most, it's so easy to find evidence that the stock exchange, Wall Street, is complete bullshit because stocks go up and down radically for no good reason. It's like when Pokemon Go was big, stocks in Nintendo shot through the roof, but then Nintendo had to say, "Oh, we don't own Pokemon Go. That's a different company." And there's been things with stocks going through the roof because two companies had similar names and people typed in the name wrong and invested in the wrong company, but everyone started doing it and the wrong stock went up. It's just like Wall Street's a complete fucking joke. Hardcore Sports, thoughts on females main characters in games. If they are good games with good characters, then it's good. If they have a good female character central in a game. Timothy Hatton wants to quit the job and play Nintendo Switch. I want to. I'm not a fan of working, and I do like the Nintendo Switch. It's just that won't actually pay my bills, so I'll probably keep my job. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one, Avia. Yeah, saying her colleague was homeless. He says he did all the drugs, but tobacco is the hardest one to quit. Yeah, I've heard that a lot, actually. Sorry, just loving. Chat me, you think vaping should be punishable with electroshock therapy? Aidy was vaping before anyone knew what vaping was. Emperor Tiga, you're a wise choice. You had two uncles died of lung cancer and grandpa. Who died of lung cancer? My father, my sister, my uncle. They all died from lung cancer. Yeah. Oh yeah, AIDS. Well, this is AIDS and I. We both have one hipster thing. AIDS is he was vaping literally for years before anyone had heard of it, and I was using a monopod of my camera to video myself for YouTube videos literally years before people had heard of a selfie stick. Now everyone knows what a selfie stick is, but I was shooting video with my camera on a monopod so I could be in it while walking and talking years before anyone had heard of a selfie stick. And now everyone just thinks I'm doing a selfie stick thing. Jason, not it was Jason. AZ wasn't quite vaping in the early 2000s, but at least 5 years ago, at least 5 or 6 years ago, and vaping only really hit the mainstream about like 3 years ago. B had a friend of his, another sort of comedy guy. I don't know where he got into it, but he was getting all this stuff from China over the internet, and he had some fascinating vaping devices. He had one, one that was like pretending to be a cigar. It was these huge, big, fat silver things like a vape cigar, and he actually had a pipe. It was like fully the shape of a pipe, and the pipe bowl with the little light that lit up. So he had some really interesting vape devices. Yeah, Jason, AZ's been doing it at least 5 or 6 years. But yeah, so AZ's a vaping hipster, and I'm a selfie stick hipster. You're right, Emperor. That's the revenge of the Native Americans, introducing everyone to tobacco and giving all the Europeans lung cancer. Yeah, Jason, the batteries on the early vapors could be quite unreliable. Dean, if you had a friend doing it in 2010, that was very much an early adopter. Timothy Hatton, what am I a nerd at? I'm a sci-fi nerd, I guess. I've, read sci-fi since I was an early teen. Doctor Who was my favorite show growing up. Um, so I guess that's my nerdiest area. I'm a sci-fi nerd. Used to read sci-fi, watch sci-fi, still do, of course. So that's probably my main nerd area, the whole realm of sci-fi. I was what, 10 years old when Star Wars came out, and I just thought it was amazing. David, yes, I have read Dune. I read the original Dune trilogy. I didn't read the cash-ins. Emperor, am I going to pick up Elder Scrolls? Quite possibly, because Mrs. Angry got really into Skyrim. I haven't played it yet, but I like big open range things. Abigail, I think that's geeky, not nerdy. I think that's a very subjective thing to say. People always argue over definitions of geek v nerd. If you're really impressed as I'm nerdy because I read, I think it's fairly safe to say if anyone read a lot of books, they were considered a nerd. What do I think about Tesla and SpaceX? I think we're getting increasing evidence Elon Musk is a fucking dickhead. I think there is a lot of potential in what both Tesla and SpaceX do, but I think Musk is cashing in on the work of other people and pretending it's all him, and, the cult of personality that entrepreneurs do. So, yes, like I said, I think there's increasing evidence Musk is a complete fucking jerk. Oh, Jatma, got to tell Mrs. Angry to search for the Solitude house glitch. Okay, I'll try to remember that. David, yes, I enjoy Westworld as well. It's a really quite challenging show. Keeps going in places you don't expect. Hey, Jatma, I figured you were talking about Skyrim. Animal, I think you answered your own question. This is a bit of a niche question. For those who don't know, Sticky Fingers are an Australian rock band, pop act, music act, whatever you want to call them. And they are indeed fucking dickheads. And they got a lot of controversy last year. They're regularly accused of being abusive, racist, and sexist. And they did kind of admit to partying, like being drunk and obnoxious. And they took a year off and they just came back and they don't seem to have learned a goddamn thing. Just like dickheads being rewarded. David, yes, I agree. Anthony Hopkins is really quite good in Westworld, but it's overall quite good because it fucks with people's expectations. Because if anyone knows, the original Westworld was a movie in the 70s where you're in a fantasy theme park with lifelike robots where nothing can possibly go wrong. And of course, everything goes wrong when the robots kill everyone. And so the first season of Westworld, everyone was waiting for the robots to go crazy and kill everyone. And that isn't where they went with it. In season 2, we are in the midst of a robot uprising, but it's not like the movie. And they've really played with stuff about, which character is what, and you get surprised that someone you think was human turns out to be a robot. You find out what people's motivations are, and it all runs a bit deeper. It runs a bit deeper than was expected. And hello, Megalich. Yes. Oh, you got the original Westworld at a bargain shop. It's good. There was also a sequel to Westworld called Future World, and there was, of course, a porn version called Sex World. And yeah, in this season 2 of Westworld, they've given us glimpses in there are other worlds. It's not just Westworld. There was one set in the period of the Raj in India, and there's Shogun World. Yes. So yes, David, the way they construct the robots or the hosts in Westworld is quite good. They like have a skeleton, and electronics, and an electronic brain, but definitely a biomaterial for the skin and whatnot. And they give them like a whole musculature and whatnot. I really like the opening credits to Westworld because it plays on a couple of levels. You see them putting together the musculature on a host, and then the strands that come out, and then they become strands on a piano. And then there's a partly formed host where it's just all exposed muscles playing the piano, but then they stop and it's not a piano, it's a pianola, one of the piano players that had in the West, which was a neat reference because arguably a pianola is a very early form of robot. Uh, it's meant to look like a piano is playing, but it plays automatically. Uh, so just and also the music's good. I like the theme music for Westworld as well. Just yeah, the visuals of playing with the whole thing of creating something artificial and it's not what you think. It's pretty goddamn clever. Charlie, I heard that too. Yul Brynner got the role in Westworld. He could fire a gun without blinking, and famously, there were only about 3 Hollywood actors who could fire a gun without blinking, and Yul Brynner was one. I think Clint Eastwood may have been another, but yeah, apparently it's really hard to not momentarily blink when you fire a gun. What's that one, chat, mate? Everyone should YouTube PG's Staying Alive Pianola. Nice. Nice. Oh, speaking of sort of it's sci-fi-ish. Um, uh, uh, as a comedy series called Future Man. It's just started on Fox. I'm keen to see that because the trailer was really funny. Like, so sort of down on his luck guy. He's working as a cleaner in some research lab. He's a gamer and he finishes some really hard game and wins. And I think, congratulations, you are the savior. And then there's a flash, and these people appear from the future and say, we sent that game back to find someone who had the skills to save us. And that's you. You're going to save the world because you're so good at that video game. And the guy looks really disappointed and goes, that's the plot of Last Starfighter. That's exactly how that movie goes. I don't feel, yes, Humans, Channel 4 in the UK. Anyone who's not seen that, it's another one about robots, basically, artificial humans, and how they might affect the world. And it explores some really interesting ideas. I think there's 2 seasons of Humans so far. I don't know if they're making any more. Humans is well worth seeing because it's good sci-fi, but it's also about exploring the human condition. So well worth it. Humans. Timothy, I still haven't seen Ready Player One, and I never read the book either. Yeah, some people love it. Some people think it's stupid, sort of masturbatory nostalgia. And a lot of fans of the book complain that the movies diverges too much from the book. I don't know. I will see the movie at some point. I don't know that I'm ever going to read the book because I'm sort of behind on my reading. But I don't know. We'll see. Are we talking about how to fire handguns? Yes, I don't think I've ever fired a handgun. Rifles, yes, but I don't think I've ever fired a handgun. Oh, Animal, my opinion on Avril Yemeni. I don't know enough about him to say anything definitive, but the very brief things I've seen of him, he just seems like one of these wankers. Yeah, I'm going to get popular just by being anti-PC and saying Islam's evil and Western civilization's the best. And it's just like, yeah, it's a cash train. You've all worked out. You just say what idiots want to hear, and they'll give you money and attention. So he seems like a dickhead. Uh, Jason, you're waiting for the robots to seduce us in the street. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Have you had a go at that new game, Detroit Become Human? That looked interesting. The little I read, sorry, not read, the little I saw of it, the fact that you have to make all these decisions and the decisions you make affect the percentage of a successful outcome in a particular thing. But yeah, I'm still playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm just having so much fun exploring. I'm not finishing it. Like I've uh, I've beaten 3 of the 4 divine beasts, and I'm just having fun exploring the world because there's so much in it, and it looks so beautiful as well. It's amazing. You're going to a Young Labour meeting. Well, that'll be interesting. You'll have to fill us in on what that was like. Never really went to political meetings. Yeah, I never had any interest in going to Young Labour or Young Liberals. And even when into college, I got a bit more radical. I never really wanted to, join communists or anything. So I hung out with anarchists for a while when I was in Sydney, but never went to meetings as such. I love that Samurai Emperor Sega. Detroit Become Human. Its entire premise is androids are a thing in the future, slowly learning to feel through hilarious QuickTime events. I should get an AngryAussie game, or maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to say, people now saying Islam's destroying Western civilization, and the extremists are fucking awful, and I hate everything about the extremists. But yes, when you look at the history that they developed most of our technology and science, they saved the world's knowledge from the dark ages. Yeah, there are a couple of really noticeable ones in the world today who are complete fucking shitheads, though. But yes. Jatman, you have a plan. You're going to join the Labor Party, you get a meal ticket, get a seat, and then leave the party and keep the seat. Oh man, yeah. Well, they're already getting fairly advanced sex robots. Like those real dolls came out a few years ago, and now they're trying to animate them and give them AI. I did see a really funny thing on Twitter with one of these MGTOW incel idiots. Uh, uh, Posting an article about sex robots and saying, feminism, your days are numbered. And the headline of the article was something like, straight out of Westworld, sex robots are coming. And he's going like, yeah, I can't wait. And someone tweeted it with and adding, no one tell him what happens in Westworld. Namely, the sex robots kill the people. But yeah. Hey, Logan, children fasting, Ramadan. Yeah, look, I don't get religious observance myself. It's just not my thing. And I get, I'm showing God I'm great by fasting. Okay, and because I work in IT, so a lot of people that I work with, from the subcontinent, and so a decent chunk of them are Muslim. And so yeah, they've all been spending the day at work fasting, you know, while the rest of us aren't. I don't get that. And I was joking. A friend Dave Blumenstein was here recently. We were doing some video stuff, and we were basically laughing about all the stuff about kosher in Judaism and how people spend all this time trying to obey the letter of Talmudic law while not the spirit. Like, in case you didn't know, on the Sabbath, observant Jewish people aren't allowed to do any work. And that means at a certain point it was decreed by rabbis, that meant operating machinery. So they can't they can't switch lights on and off. They can't turn a stove on and off, and they can't clean anything. And so they have all these philosophical discussions on how to get around this while still observing the law, which I find hilarious, and Dave was laughing, find it hilarious too. It's just like, yeah, let's trick God. That would probably work. Let's come up with a cunning plan to trick God. It's just such a weird mental exercise to go through. It's really weird. I am proud. Jason's joking. We actually, you know, have met, know each other in real life. So Jason's being sarcastic. David is wiping your ass if you have a shit to fund. Look, seriously, that was probably debated by knowledgeable rabbis. But he told me that he was a sermon. I forget what the Jewish word for sermon is. And they were literally doing things like, like if I spill wine, can I wipe it up? I'm like, well, no, that would be work. Well, what about if I had a piece of like paper towel and I dropped it and it landed on the wine and like soaked it up? Could I put that in the bin afterwards? And so, oh, why stop at a paper towel? Like if I had a mop and I dropped the mop and it happened to land on the wet thing that I spilled and soak it up, it's like, and they have all these really long debates on, can we trick God by getting around the Talmudic law? It's really weird. So I find that, and also, okay, everyone always talked about Muslim women having to cover their hair, but certain really conservative Jewish sects have the same thing, that the women shouldn't have their hair exposed. So the thing where men aren't allowed to touch a woman who's not their wife or immediate family, like mother or sister. They're not allowed to touch the skin of a woman who's not their wife or sister or mother. And in these same circles, women aren't allowed to have their hair exposed. Because I've been living in the Jewish part of Melbourne for like 10 years now. And again, the trying to get around the letter of the law while thinking they're staying within the law. These Jewish women will wear wigs. So technically, their hair's not exposed, but it's still hair. And what I like is really often, although not always, but really often, they wear really shitty wigs. So it's very obviously not their hair. It's very obviously a wig. And I find that really surreal. Like it cracks me up. I just think this whole idea of I'm going to pull a Swiftie on God is absolutely hilarious. And you're right, yeah, Emma Siga, in really conservative Christian areas, women have to carry up. I mean, you know, you've got the for a really extreme example, the Amish, of course. It's just conservative religion imposes these rules. It's not one religion. It's basically every religion has conservative fringes that puts these really restrictive rules in place. Oh, fuck. I didn't hear exactly what Dawn Fraser did, but I heard a lot of people going, man, she's like racist as fuck, isn't she? And yeah, apparently, yes, she is. Oh my God, I gotta get some ice. Get a drink. Ah. Well, what I know. Read this and this. All right. Pretty simple drink. Ah. Right. Jason, you only remember the Amish from the Weird Al song. No, there were also. Oh, Ruka-san, how you doing, buddy? Luke, if you're doing butts, I'm going to be paying attention, buddy. I'm trying. See, okay, I like making cocktails a lot, and I do like a whiskey sour, and you can make it of all the different whiskies. You know, bourbon, Scotch. I prefer a bourbon whiskey sour to Scotch whiskey. Of course, there's also rye whiskey, and I've never really drunk rye whiskey, so I haven't made a proper sour with this yet. I will this weekend. I'm going to try some in my cola. Charlie, that's an interesting thing. Speaking of butts, what have they done to Snake? I don't know. Who's Snake? I'm not getting the reference. That's got him. I'm looking forward to Lauren Southern. Oh, man. These, like, right-wing idiots, they tour and make money saying, hey, I'm going to say really obnoxious, bigoted things. Come and see me and pay me money. Woo! Like, I've never paid that much attention to Lauren Southern. And who's the dickhead who's coming out with her? I just remember I made a video about him recently. Oh, he's one of the idiots. But I made a video sort of laughing at him because he gave literally the worst job interview advice I've ever heard. He's saying like young people, I think he's like literally saying like teenagers, invest a couple of $100 in a professional IQ test and whip it out in a job interview to impress them. And then he just had this ridiculous statement about, oh, and if they think an arts degree is better, they're too stupid to work for. And I was like, dude, that is the worst fucking job advice I've ever. Like, if you were not asked for, if you're young and not experienced, and you whip out an IQ test in a job interview, you go, ha, they are instantly going to write you off as a complete fucking idiot. Because an IQ test means nothing in the real world. Absolutely no. His name's Stefan Molyneux. You know, if I like, so usually with these right wingers, I would be attacking them, saying I really disagree with their politics and the bigotry thing. But this was just dumb. It was just like so stupid. It was ridiculous. It was like ridiculously stupid advice. Emperor Cigar, you should stop getting inspiration from right-wing extremists. I mean, certainly you can laugh at a lot of them, but yeah, there are things. Catherine, how much did you miss? You missed like the first hour. Yeah, what Stefan Molyneux and Lauren Southern, I don't know, touring Australia doing speaking engagements. There's going to be huge fucking protests outside them. I mean, there's going to be serious protests. And yeah, don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, and you're right, Scott. They're going to get attention from the morning TV shows. Oh my God! Speaking of the morning TV shows, which fucking one of them is it? The Today Show or something is spouting. It's proven that violent video games like Fortnite turn kids psycho, and they must be banned. There's this thing with these conservative, sort of light entertainment and so-called current affairs shows in Australia saying that, and they've singled out Fortnite. They're saying Fortnite's this terrible, violent game and must be banned. And it's like, what planet are you on? Seriously, you people don't make any sense at all. It's and like just making statements like it's proven that violent video games cause aggressive behavior. It's not. The word proven means something. The word proven means something. It's honestly, it's even misleading to say, oh, there were studies that showed a link between violent video games and violent behavior. There is proof would be having control groups, being able to replicate the results multiple. It's just like, oh, one study that set out from the start to establish that violent video games cause violence, surprise, surprise, found evidence to back up their claim that violent video games cause violence. It's fucking ridiculous. You're right, Pat. There are way more violent things in the world. And hello, Ophelia and Sela. It's just, yeah, it's ridiculous bullshit, ratings grabbing, clickbait bullshit. You're right, Dean. It's not even just cherry picking data. That when they cite a study that shows, it's not a scientific study. It's like a pop cultural study, and it's basically these people have gone in and their predetermined idea is violent video games cause violent behavior, and then they structure their experiment and measure their observations in such a way they get the evidence they want. It's like, and to leap from that to it's proven, it's not fucking proven. Charlie, you're absolutely right. It's what their boomer audience wants to hear. Oh, the violent video games, kids are out of control. You're exactly right. They say it for every video game. Yes, feel like there's, you could have grown up in the mid 20th century with really violent Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoons. You know, um, just look at history. Humans are just violent shit. It's basically, yeah. Dean, you're right. There are a whole bunch of studies that show no measurable increase in violent activity after playing violent games, but they pick out one that says yes, there is. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, oh. You're right, Jason. For those who don't know, we have a train journey in Australia known as the Garn. It goes across the desert. It's very long. I think it takes 2 days trip, 12 hours something. And SBS actually ran video that was just video looking out the window of the train going through the desert. So like nothing happens. And I think they ran like a 12-hour version of it. 12-hour looking out a train window while nothing happens. A good idea, Jason. Stick a camera on trucks driving. Oh, one that goes between Melbourne and Sydney. or all the way up the East Coast. Just, you know, a truck journey. Why not? Emperor, you're saying gun laws and lax gun laws is what's causing gun violence? Oh my God, all you have there is direct correlation. Dirty communist saying guns are the problem. Oh, and I would watch a truck journey over the Today Show too. I find those shows just unwatchable. They're absolutely ridiculous. Like really ill-informed talking heads trafficking in cliche and bullshit. Ridiculous. Music over what you say about, yeah, without video games there'd be no violence. That's why Mongolians were peaceful. I remember seeing a cartoon in probably the 80s, so it's before video games were a thing, but people used to blame violent TV shows then. So, and it was a like comic. I think it was actually in a Penthouse magazine of Vikings in the midst of raping and pillaging, and one Viking says. One Viking says to the other, "To think we accomplished all of this without violent TV shows during our formative years." It's just like, Ricky saying, "You think John Lydon should be on more talk shows?" Johnny, what's he doing? He's funny. He's like a grumpy old man now. Although he has been a grumpy old man for quite a while. Emperor, when did not wanting to see kids get shot become an American? When kids started getting shot. I mean, that's the thing. That's all. I refuse to get emotionally invested in horrible gun tragedies in the US because shit's never changing. And the turning point for me was Sandy Hook, when there was a bunch of kindergartners, white kids, killed and nothing changed. I was going, well, that's it. It doesn't get worse than that. You killed a bunch of cute little white kids, toddlers, and nothing changed. Okay, nothing's changing ever. It's just like, so at that point, I just basically refused to give a fuck. I'm not getting emotionally invested in it at all because shit's never changing. When something that horrible can happen and no change come out of it, it's just like, yeah, no, fuck that. As I have to expend my psychic energy elsewhere because that's just messed up. Tara, I'm with you. Because there was a very unfortunate case of a young woman being murdered in Melbourne in the last couple of days. Tara says someone tweeted her saying, well, women should carry guns to protect themselves. Tara wants a gun to protect herself from Christians. Man, I'd do a gun and go outside an abortion clinic and fucking shoot the protesters who are harassing people because they make me feel unsafe. Emperor, so you got there one step ahead of me. Yes, obviously, I feel awful for the parents who lost their children. But yes, almost worse than the actual killings are the horrifically deranged conspiracy idiots who harass the parents who've lost a parent who've been through like the worst thing imaginable, and they harass them saying they're actors and stuff. Those people, they should be in jail. They should fucking throw them in a hole and get rid of them. Toby, does Angry drink wild turkey? I do now. This is the first time I ever have. And this is rye as opposed to bourbon because I wanted to taste the difference between rye and bourbon. And I think this weekend I'm going to indulge myself. And one of my favorite cocktail is the sour. And that's usually a whiskey, but not universally a whiskey. So it's the spirit, lemon juice, and an egg white. And I usually add sugar syrup as well, or simple syrup, just for volume. and go shika shika shika, and you get this nice frothy drink. And I want to try it with different things this weekend and decide which one I prefer. I've got rye whiskey, I've got bourbon, I've got scotch. I've got another thing I bought for the first time called Liquor 43, which is much sweeter. So I want to know what this is. Wild turkey and Pepsi. Yeah. It's quite sweet. And it's got a little herby sort of flavor. Rye seems to be a bit herby. Oh, Jason, you want a milkshake? Leave in the yard. You'll have to fight all the boys that I bring to the yard with my milkshake. Vape TV, fuck One Nation. Yes, very much so. What ballpark figure? Hire Angry as an IT consultant. You look it up in the paper. I am a senior business analyst. So, you know, starting at $800 a day, basically. But they actually pay me more where I'm now. And they love me. Oh my God. The joke that I put on socials today, but it was real. One of my co-workers said he really appreciates how calmly I handle difficult situations. And I went, if only you knew my internet persona. Yeah, I kind of fell into IT. I was just working in customer service, like call centers, and I got myself sort of worked up to, team leader. I was like, "Ooh, that's a real serious job, isn't it? I'm a fucking professional now." And I did it for a while, and one day, because I always liked computers, and we used a couple different systems to run the operations in the call center. And one day, the manager just says to me, you see, you're like one of the few people who puts any thought into how to use the systems and how to improve the systems. We need a new business analyst. Do you want to be a business analyst? And I had no idea what a business analyst. I had no idea what a business analyst was, but I learned on the job, and I've been doing it for a while now too. And you're right, Tara. For an IT professional, $800 a day is relatively cheap. Project managers get paid more, like systems architect. If you really want to get paid shit heaps, you specialize in something like SAP. You get the people who are on like 1,000 plus a day. But I just quite like what I do, so I've had no interest in sort of changing and going into one of the higher payer ones because I wouldn't enjoy the work as much. And you moved from the mountains to the desert. Oh wow, that would be a change. Wow, radical. Because yeah, the difference in the US, mountain country in the US and desert country in the US is really fucking different. It sounds like a song. Look, I learned on the job, and then contracting really took off, and worked out you could make a lot of money in contracting. So I worked my way up the food chain, and sort of double, tripled the amount I could earn in a day. Like I said, I could earn more if I went off and became a project manager or a system architect or specialized in particular things. Why do I rent rather than buy a house? Because I also occasionally take extended breaks from work, and also Mrs. Angry's paying off mortgage. See, I pay all the rent, and Mrs. Angry's paying off mortgages on some apartments. So, I have a smart partner. The California desert hardcore. I mean, and I've done the drive from Los Angeles through the desert to Las Vegas, And that is some pretty fucking serious desert. Yeah. You miss trees and running water. Yeah, the California desert is a bit fucking brutal, dude. Oh, Tendai. Well, that's yeah, that's a depressing one. Today's the anniversary of Grenfell, and yeah, nothing's come of it. Those who don't remember, that was the apartment block in London that caught fire and killed a bunch of people. And we found out pretty quickly the reason the fire was so bad is that they used really cheap cladding on the apartment block, and these cheap bastards were responsible for most of the deaths. And you're right, Jason. Alcohol ain't free. I got to spend some money on my alcohol. Yeah. Animal Augment. I don't think I know who AngryAussie is. That one's not familiar. Okay, you've heard of him, Empress. You thought he got banned off YouTube. Okay, now I feel compelled. I'm going to really quickly look up because I don't know who that is. AngryAussie. He's a Singaporean. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, he's pro pedophilia. What the fuck? Okay, so I'm not a fan already. He's apparently a former child star. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Well, I really don't like him. It's the first I've heard of him, and I don't like him. Oh no, sir. I don't like that one bit. Um, wow. Just being openly pro pedophile. Okay. Jesus. Oh yeah, so talking about that apartments on fire. Yeah, a survey showed a whole bunch of apartment buildings in Melbourne had cladding that's probably as dangerous as the one that was on the Grenfell building. Jesus, yeah. Chapman, you're saying your dad worked on London construction in the 80s and there was no rules. It was the Wild West. Yeah, but the most disturbing thing about the Grenfell fire is that fireproof cladding would be hardly any more expensive for the size of the building. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Wow, fucking Windows is trying to mess with me. This thing just popped up about something that the new Windows updates installs. Like, bugger off, do not fucking kill my live stream, Windows. I'll be so shitty. Oh, Jason's saying there's another fire in London. Well, that's disturbing. Yeah, Ricky saying, yeah, you've probably got a choice with cheap apartment buildings. Really flammable cladding or asbestos cladding. And asbestos is where it was a miracle substance in the early 20th century. But it's fireproof. It's great. And then far too late, we found out that all the little fibers and like glass fiber comes out of asbestos, and you don't even see it, and you breathe it in, and it shreds the inside of your lungs, and then you get cancer or some other horrible disease, asbestosis, they start calling it. But it's basically because of the fiber in asbestos that just gets into the air and floats around, and you don't even know it's there, and you inhale it, and it shreds your lungs to pieces, and you get very sick and die. So yes, I swear I was the forced updates. I was going to do a live stream on Tuesday, and I got the laptop out and I Start, and it went, oh, we're installing some updates. This might take a while. And it took a fucking hour. I've never seen that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Impressive. So angry about climate change, going to create a thread, go to sleep, do nothing about it. Yeah. I tell you, look, just general environment stuff. One thing that shits me that we are now discovering in Australia is that recycling's probably bullshit. Like, we get all the trouble of separating stuff out and putting stuff in recycling, and it now seems as though the vast majority of it is not getting recycled. Like, I thought we had recycling plants here in Australia, and apparently all they do is sort the material into the different types of recyclables, and then the vast majority, if not all of it, was being sent on boats over to China, where theoretically China was recycling it, but it turns out they're not, and also they're not going to accept it anymore. So, Jason, you may be joking. Does that mean we can stop recycling? From what I've been reading, we are right on the verge of having it confirmed any effort towards recycling is complete fucking bullshit. I don't understand it, because you'd be able to make money doing it, but it's just turned into a scam. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact no one's set up proper recycling in Australia, because you would make money from it, it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. So it's not just in Queensland, it's just more and more councils are going, oh, the people we had a recycling deal with said they're not doing it anymore, or they're doubling the cost to us, and there's no point, and so fuck it, everything's going into landfill now. Yeah, Catherine, it's ridiculous that recycling's not done in Australia. It does my head in. When that story broke that the majority of recycling was being put on a fucking boat and sent to China, it did my head in. Emperor, so yeah, that's a good question. Is it infuriating when a billionaire goes on a tangent about climate change and then does nothing, despite the fact they have the funds and influence? Yeah, I am more upset that politicians who I assume know they're lying tell blatant lies and say climate change isn't happening. Abigail, you going? Thanks for dropping by. Glad you were able to hang out for a while. Yes, Jason. I mean, our tax dollars paid for rubbish to go out in boats, and it's apparently not even getting recycled. It's like when people think they're getting their electronics recycled. Oh, I'm sending my electronics to a special electronic. Those are being fucking dumped in different countries in Asia and Africa, and they're just being dumped in a landfill in another country. And the companies behind it are lying and saying, we recycled the electronics, and they fucking lied. It's not, and that's not just Australia. That's Europe and North America as well. Just like, this is bullshit. I always thought, like, if I won some huge lotto thing, I'd look into setting up proper recycling, because A, it should happen, but B, surely you'd make a massive fucking, like, particularly if more news comes out like, oh, the recycling up to this point has been a fucking scam, and then you go like, okay, well, I'm setting up real recycling here, and it's in Australia, and it's employing Australians, and the money's going to be in the Australian economy, and the councils and the government would like have to pay you to do the recycling. So yeah. Pat talks. Ooh, that's a big question. Do I like kids watching your channel? Not really. I don't make content for kids. But if by kids you mean like preteens, they should. And I've had it like people at some point, someone far too young has said they've watched my videos. I was going, you probably shouldn't. Quite honestly, I do not aim my content at certainly not preteens. Probably not under 15-year-olds really. but certainly not preteens. So yes, it is occasionally really disturbing to be told that someone really young was watching my videos, because then I'm like, you probably shouldn't. Not really. Oh, Jam, you're saying maybe we can dig up rubbish and use it for electricity. Look, there are people who claim a more ecologically sustainable thing to do would be to burn rubbish in power plants. And yeah, I'd remain to be convinced of that. I'd like to see the evidence that you could burn plastics and other rubbish without causing like fatally toxic pollution. If you had some sort of system that could burn it to create energy without horrifically toxic pollution, then I'd back it. But I don't think I believe you. Yes, Catherine, I'm M15 plus. Ooh, and Toby, you're saying Celtic King has heard that VD might get released on parole if he behaves himself. Well, look, I hope he does, and I hope he fucking wakes up to himself. Ah, Kevin, how's it going, buddy? Actually, now you're here. You were saying on the socials that you're going to be debating Sargon. What's the context of that? Is that a live thing, or pre-recorded? Like, is it a stream, or is it at a public venue? I was fascinated to hear that. Oh, Tara, yeah, asking me about the money. Okay. Look, for people who think contractors get paid a lot of money, I'm set up as a company, like proprietary limited company, and so I pay tax. I don't get holiday pay. I don't get sick pay. So if you're in a permanent job, you get like 4 weeks paid leave, which I don't get. And you get like, I don't know, how many sick days do you get? It's 10 days, isn't it? Isn't it 2 weeks? And I don't get paid on public holidays. So you get 2 months paid time off that I don't. So that's one reason I get paid more, because I have to allow for holidays and whatnot. So yeah, some people look at it and go like, "Oh, you get paid literally twice as much as a permanent employee." Well, not really, because you've got to factor in all those holidays and whatnot. But when you factor all that in, I probably get paid somewhere between 25 and 50% more than a permanent. But that's just the premium for being a contractor, because, you know, my contract ends, I might not get work in a while. But just between the end of last year and the start of this year, there was 3 months where I wasn't getting paid. But, you know, I'd allowed for that sort of thing. Oh, that's right. Sorry, it was Count Dankula. It wasn't Sargon. It was Count Dankula. Oh, so it was a stream and Sargon jumped in. Okay. My attention span, shit. I know you were saying it was Count Dankula because I was taking the piss and saying, sending my love. So Kevin, the stream was with, that was on Count Dankula's channel on YouTube, was it? Feelings here, you want to chuck all your junk into Kilau. Oh, that's the volcano. For a second, I was going, I don't know what that is, but that's that volcano that's going off, isn't it? Well, you know, you'd certainly get rid of your junk if you chucked it into volcano. I just don't know um, what level of pollution you get out of it. I tell you, as a contractor, you paid mortgage 6 months back. Look, the single biggest reason I like being a contractor over a permanent employee is I'm in control a lot more. See, when you're a permanent employee, the company goes, okay, this is your wages for the week. But before you see that, government goes, okay, that's your wages for the week. Before you see it, we're taking this amount of tax out. And then at the end of the year, you try and get a tax return. You try and say, the government took too much of my tax and I get some back. You see, with what I do, because I contract through a company, I get the entire amount. The entire amount gets paid into my bank account. And then I run as many things as I can as business expenses. And then what's left, I pay tax on that. But see, all the business expenses, I don't pay tax on that. So that additional level of control is what I really like. So Kevin, so you're on Cantanculous channel. You talked about Tommy Robinson, got him to concede that the calls for the UK government to free Tommy were dumb because it would be illegal. There was that fantastic thing because, you know, some Muppets, you can put petition on the government website. I am petitioning the government to do X. And of course, there was a petition for I want the government to release Tommy Robinson. And the official response was, this doesn't count because the judicial system is not controlled by the government. So we can't do that. If you like, you could raise a petition to change the laws under which he was prosecuted. But there's putting a petition to have the government release him is ridiculous because the government doesn't. And it was really passive aggressive. The thing, Animal, do I think Tommy Robinson will be killed in jail? No, that's all hype from his supporters. But oh, Jason, cool projects. What I hope I entered a competition. There's a thing called Melbourne Web Fest, Festival of Web Video, and they had a pitching competition, like pitch an idea for a web series, and if you win, you get $5,000 to develop it, and you get to go to a web fest that's in, I think, Marseille in France. So I pitched Aidy's story, Code Grey. I pitched, you know, the amazing adventures of Aidy, basically. So if I get shortlisted during the Webfest, I'll go on stage and do a live pitch, a 2-minute live pitch of why the story of Aidy is fantastic, and they should give me money to develop it. Toby, I don't have my kilt on at the moment. I'm in my jams. Look, tartan pajama. I'm not wearing a kilt, but I'm wearing tartan pajamas, sort of. They're check, not really tartan, sort of tartan, check pattern anyway. We definitely need more Aidy. He's just very unwell at the moment. So we'll try and get him soon or something. Oh dear. So yes, I do still have my kilt. Not wearing it at the moment. I'm wearing my jams basically at the moment because it was this very cold bit of wind out there. So I was something. Catherine, no, there's no online voting. This is actually a live thing. Like if the panel at Webfest, I did a 30-second video pitch, put it on Facebook, and if the panel like that, if I get shortlisted, it's a live thing where rather than being any popular vote, it's like to some industry professionals. And this is tied in with ABC iView. So I do a live pitch to some industry professionals and try and convince them to do it. Yeah, the pitch was good. I mean, I like the pitch. Like, you had to work 10 into it because it's the 10th anniversary ABC iView. So I said the story would be 10 most incredible things that happened to Aidy. And spoiler alert, he died 3 times, but only 2 of those deaths are interesting enough to make the top 10. So that's the thing. Oh my God, Ruby said that's brilliant. A movie about Aidy, fully funded with Tommy Wiseau and Gary Busey. Oh my God, I love that so much. Chat me right. I do need to get Aidy to call in on a live stream again. And if his internet was at all reliable, I'd get him actually on video on the live stream. Yes, I did hear about Domino's repairing roads in the US. That was real, was it? I wasn't sure if that was real, but I did see an article about Domino's repairing roads in the US, which is pretty weird. Yeah, can imagine Robot bitching to you after sex. There was a joke that they had to be careful with um, developing an AI to developing an AI for a sex robot because they had the idea of making it appealing, like it could have a conversation with you. But if they developed it too far, it might not like you. So the question: how did Aidy die 2 times? He goes, no, he came back 3 times. He died 3 times and had several more near-death experiences. But yeah, as he's very philosophical, he says it doesn't matter if you die; it just matters if you come back. The last time he died was the closest to not coming back. It's when he had contracted the flesh-eating bacteria, necrotizing fasciitis, specifically Fournier's gangrene. Yes, he lost his pulse, Shatner, and when he went into hospital for his necrotizing fasciitis, apparently he was within hours of it being too late. He didn't think it was that bad, but they said no, matter of hours later, it would have been too late. And he died, like his heart stopped, and they revived him. It took a while to revive him, and he was in an induced coma. And they had actually made a decision. They thought he'd probably suffered brain damage when his heart stopped and when he was in the induced coma. And they didn't expect him to survive. So the medical staff had decided if he died again, like if he heart stopped, they would not attempt to revive him because they was just fucked. He's probably never coming back. So it's like a form of torture if we try and resuscitate him. So they were going to make no effort to resuscitate him if he stopped breathing, if his heart stopped. And they were doing surgery, and this basically the necrotizing fasciitis poisoned his blood and was damaging all his organs. Like his organs were in danger of turning into liquid. And he's on the operating table, and he died again. Like his heart stopped. They went, oh, like his heart, no, and apparently they were right at the stage, like they had the chart out and a pen, and the doctors were saying, okay, time of death, and they were just about to write it in, and the heart monitor went beep, beep, and so the story goes, the nurse who had the chart and was just about to write time of death in it went, ooh, a self-starter. And then the doctors went, well, if he's going to make an effort, so will we. And so they kept working on him. But yeah, the third time he died was the one that was closest to being permanent. And they weren't going to resuscitate him, but he self-started. So he's still with us. Yeah, and Flappy Dog, true consent, possibly my all-time favorite Aidy moment. Because he was like so sick, he was on such fucking serious drugs. like really over the top painkillers and ketamine and whatnot. And he was in a drug induced haze. And at one point where when he regained consciousness, but he was on serious drugs, and he had a bunch of people visiting him at the time, and he happened to look out the window of his room, and he could see the roof of another building, and there was an air vent on the roof, and a bit of tar paper had come loose on the roof and sort of flopped up against this air vent and was flapping around like wings. And when Aidy saw it, he thought it was a penguin. Like, he looked at it and it was this thing with like little flapping wings, and he thought it was a penguin, but he was so drugged up he couldn't remember the word penguin. And so he pointed at the window and went, "Look, there's a Flappy Dog on the roof." And apparently no one in the room even looked out the window, because when Mr. Druggo points at the window and says, "There's a Flappy Dog," everyone just goes, "What's a Flappy Dog? There's no such thing as Flappy Dogs." And he's like, "There's one right there. There's a Flappy Dog." And it wasn't till ages later when someone told him, "You said this weird shit about Flappy Dogs," and he had to think, and he went, "It was a penguin. I thought it was a penguin." And he looked at the roof and he realized what it was, and he goes, "Oh, I saw that, and I thought it was a penguin, but I couldn't think of the word penguin, so I said Flappy Dog." And my favorite bit of that was that he was so drugged up when he started pointing, saying, "There's a Flappy Dog." No one even bothered to look out the window. They're just like, "Yeah, you're on drugs, Aidy. Okay, you're on drugs. There's no such thing as a Flappy Dog. We're not looking because you're on drugs." Locust Trooper, how is he still alive? I don't know. Don't know. Emperor, is he a wizard? He's a black magician, certainly. He's chaos magic. When he's in hospital, he gets visited by these somber dudes who wear all black. You know, not saying they go out to a farm under the full moon and sacrifice a black goat to protect him, but I'm not saying they don't do that either. So yes, yes, Megaleith, they don't like the term black magic. They say chaos, chaos magic. Jason, Edwin does good hypnotism, actually. He hasn't done that for a while, but Edwin's hypnotism stuff is really good. Ooh, Toby, the old Chombo challenge. I don't even know what that is, but I'm really keen to find out what it is. I think the thing, black magic, the term black magic is seen as derogatory, and it's one of those things where Europeans use black to mean evil. Whereas the practitioners that Aidy hangs out with, they call it chaos. So they're very big believers in that thing. And he's still around, so who knows? Maybe there's something to it. Maybe that's what's keeping him kicking along. Who knows? Jason, look, a double Tim Tam Slam is never a bad idea. Yeah. Rick said, Aidy's a very specialist necromancer in that he can only revive himself. Feeling Shirley, you get more oomph to your spells when you're sacrificing virgins. I think it's a long time since Aidy's been around a virgin. What was that line? I forget which comedian it was, but he's saying like how he thought the jihadi thing about being a martyr because you go to heaven and get 72 virgins is dumb as shit. Because that doesn't sound like paradise to me. I don't want 72 virgins. Give me one dirty girl from Vegas and I'll be way happier. Jatma, do I have any wizard stories? No, because I'm not part of that scene. I'm not sure how much Aidy would be willing to share, but he definitely has wizard stories. Animal, thanks for dropping by, dude. I will be going soon too. How old is Aidy now? He's a couple of years younger than me. He must be creeping up on 50. And yes, he is still with his boyfriend, which is nice. Ricky said, "You want to say Robin? Say Robin Williams. I don't know why, but you know, you want to say it." No, it wasn't Robin Williams, Drukasan, although Robin Williams was notorious for stealing other people's lines. So no, it wasn't George Carlin. Robin Williams is a bit closer to it than George Carlin. Ooh, Bury knows what he's talking about. They don't sacrifice a goat, sacrifice a gem to convince his soul to come back to his flesh vessel. Ron White. Oh, Emperor Seagull. Ron. Maybe it was Ron White. Oh, I can't remember who it was, but yeah. Charlie, I think you're right that Billy Connolly would say something similar. You'd say, "I want a slut." Yeah, that does sound like something Billy Connolly would say. Oh, Catherine. No, that whole really fucking weird fringe thing. And it's not core Islam ideology. It's this weird fringe shit. But that weird obsession with the 72 virgins, they have this thing where they say that, after you have sex with the virgin, they're magically re-virginized. It's like really fucking sick and fucked up and clearly aimed at young men who know nothing about women. And that's who the jihadis trick into being fucking suicide bombers and stuff. Young, angry, impressionable men. It's really fucking depressing, honestly. So, yeah, no, that whole 72 versions thing is really fucking creepy and bullshit. But, yes. Peoria, how do we get onto D&D? I have no objections. Oh, right, that's a D&D thing. Sacrifice a soul to sacrifice a gem to get your soul to come back. Okay. So yes, all right. I reckon it's just coming up on 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna dip out. And feeling silly, you make the reading. This fixation on virgins is bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Although I did like the line, if you've never seen it, you should watch a movie called What We Do in the Shadows. It's a mockumentary about a group of vampires in New Zealand who share a house. And it's directed by dude who did Thor Ragnarok. What We Do in the Shadows is brilliant, but there's this one bit where one of the vampires is like he's saying to the documentary crew, like, people ask like why the vampires have a fixation on virgins as the source for their blood. He goes, well, think about it this way: if you were going to eat a sandwich, wouldn't you be happier knowing that nobody had fucked it? I really like that. That was really good. So, Toby, the El Chombo. There's a song by an individual called El Chombo. He's from Brazil. Video of a cartoon alien, and the alien's dancing. So the El Chombo challenge is filming oneself dancing like the alien. Oh, dude, I am such a white guy with dancing. I am such a bad dancer. It would get my cruel laughter if I did a dance challenge, I have to admit. Oh, I remember that one, the old European tradition of putting out blood-stained bed sheets. So this is why I get this fallacy of the hymen. Like, for years, I was one of the guys who had been convinced, because of all the talk of virgins and blood and whatnot, that the hymen was like some sealed cover on the vagina, which it isn't at all. And the blood is completely it's ridiculous. But people have such fucked up attitudes to sex. It's really fucking weird. Oh dear. Oh, that's right. I was Emperor Seagull. I did see that one, the Last Week Tonight episode about seed faith, the evangelical Christianity that's all about money. It's Batman, you're off. I'm off too. Oh, nice, Toby. You're going to do the El Chombo challenge. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Um, anyway, thank you all very much for joining me. You have, as always, been wonderful company. I've enjoyed hanging out with you. This is my latest tool for my birthday. Doesn't this look like a sex toy? And its name makes it sound like a sex toy. Um, it's for citrus fruit. It's this is my cocktail tool. See, it's got a zester on there and little micro grater for nutmeg, various things for cocktails, and that's for reaming out citrus fruit. It's called a ream, but seriously, that's like a butt plug, right? There's no two ways around it. Looks like a butt plug, but it's honestly it's for citrus fruit. And I got a whole bunch. Oh, I have to show you. Look, this was my birthday presents. Stuff from the cocktail shop. There was that. The thing. And look at these. I'll show you these shot glasses. Hang on. Okay. This is what like Mrs. Angry got me from the cocktail shop. Shot glasses. I don't know if you can see the different colors. They're little rocket ships. Little rocket ship shot glasses. They're really cool, and they're stackable. They stack on one another. So I got little rocket shots, and they're really cool. And I also got there's two of these. These are tiki mugs. Look at that, cut glass tiki mugs. I've got to make a proper tropical cocktail for these on the weekend. Awesome. Yeah, and some. I also got some bitters and other mixes. This place, this particular cocktail shop has like I don't know, well over 100 different sorts of bitters and mixes for cocktails. But I've got all these. This is my birthday package from Mrs. Angry. So yes, Toby, can you join me in a live stream one day? Yes, we should set that up, buddy. Seriously, yes, definitely yes. So yes, so I'm going to leave you now, and I'll stay with my cocktail gear, including my definitely not a sex toy. It's called a reamer. Even the name of it sounds like a really aggressive sex toy. Yes. Shatma, did I monitor the kids' party? Yes, I did. They were really good. It was like an 18th birthday party for young Mr. Angry, and they were really good. There was hardly any drama with it. But yes, thank you everybody for dropping by. I am going to go now. Appreciate your company as always. Hey, yeah, don't forget to do the thumbs up thing on the way out. We'll fool the YouTube algorithm into thinking I'm popular one day. But until then, I'll catch you again later. Post a video or two over the weekend, either tomorrow night or on the weekend for TFU. Follow me on the socials if you don't already, and we can catch up. Yeah, there were two really pathetic, not very stick with it trolls tonight, Jammer. It was pretty weak on the troll front. So Megala Dog, I haven't seen you before. There you go. That's for you too. Take care, everyone. I will catch you all another time. Bye now. And I click stop.